Hi, I'm Cantu with the Jasper County Conservation Department, and today I'm exploring out at Jacob Krumm Nature Preserve. In July, there's a lot of different wildflowers that are blooming. It's absolutely beautiful out here right now. One of my favorites that's just starting to bloom is the Prairie Blazing Star. So big, bright purple spikes. The smaller flowers down here in front of me that are kind of purple and spiky are called lead plant. And we've got some yellow flowers over here as well. These are black-eyed Susans. Kind of an easy one to remember with the black center in the middle of them. And next to them is some rattlesnake master. Not sure if that ever healed rattlesnake bites, but has kind of a cool name that the pioneers gave it. We've got some common milkweed and some bright orange butterfly milkweed farther up the hill here around all that rattlesnake master. Of course, all of these plants are very beneficial to butterflies and insects. We know the monarch butterflies really need our help right now and need that milkweed as a host plant for their caterpillars. There's so many insects and birds out here in the prairie with us that we can hear. And so we'd like to just show you around and point out some of the different things that you'd find here in the tallgrass prairie. So we call this tall grass prairie because the grass indeed gets really tall. Later this fall when you come out here, the big blue stem and Indian grass and switchgrass will be way up over my head. But right now in mid-July, really the grasses are still short and the wildflowers are the prettiest. So if you want to come out to see a lot of different wildflowers, this is a great time. Also remember when you're out here or exploring any county park to not pick wildflowers. If you remember their life cycle, they're trying to get pollinated so that they can make seeds. And then of course those seeds are really important for growing future wildflowers and grasses. And so we want them to be able to finish their life cycle and keep this place looking beautiful like we see it today. One thing that is really tall though, this plant next to me here is called compass plant. Has a big yellow flower on it, but what's really cool about this plant are the leaves. They're very large and flat, and they kind of feel like sandpaper. These leaves always face east and west on the other side. And that's pretty important because we know all these plants are trying to have enough space and sunlight to grow, and compass plant kind of maximizes how much sunlight hits these great big flat leaves. So sun coming up in the east and setting on the west on the other side. In fact, that was so dependable that pioneers called it compass plant because if we kind of look at the long way here, they always sort of point north and south, and you would always kind of know what direction you were headed. You can imagine being out here before there were farms and homes and towns built, and we had, just miles and miles of prairie in every direction. Prairie's kind of a lonely area to be in a way, but also truly beautiful, and there's so many interesting things that you can discover out here. While exploring out here at Krumm Preserve, we found something really cool, a native prairie plant that actually looks like all this orange fishing line that's vining around all the plants in this area. It's just huge masses of this orange vine. It's called Prairie Daughter, and it's actually a native plant to the tallgrass prairie. Daughter's pretty interesting. This is a parasitic plant. It does make seeds, and when the seeds drop and start to germinate into little plants, the plants must quickly attach themselves to a host plant where they penetrate through the stem of the host plant and start to draw water and nutrients off of that host. So they do not have roots that are going down the ground. They are living off the sawtooth sunflower and some of the other prairie plants that are underneath here. Just a really cool thing to see out in the prairie, and we have this massive patch of it right behind me here. Here's a fun plant that I love to show students out here. It's not blooming yet. It's got some buds. There's going to be a yellow flower on this plant. It has a really thick square stem, and the leaves are what really makes it kind of neat. The leaves are wrapped around that thick stem so that they form sort of like a little cup, and dew and rain collects in the little cups that these leaves make. And you might see some little insects that stop to get a drink, or maybe a little bird or another little animal. So just kind of a neat way of holding water. And of course I always ask the kids, well, what would you call a plant that looked like this? And of course the answer is cup plant. Hey, I found something kind of cool down here on these plants. These are goldenrod flowers, which aren't going to bloom until late this summer, early fall. But look what's on them. There's these strange little bubbles on the stem. And we see a lot of those out here. That is actually an insect gull. It's made by a goldenrod gull wasp, and it basically lays its eggs on the stem of these plants, and the stem grows around the eggs, protecting it. So there's little insects that are living in there. They hatch out of the egg as a larva, and then the larva will eventually chew their way out of that gall and finish growing into the adult wasp. So kind of neat to know that there's little homes for some of the prairie's small insects inside the wildflowers.